Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. It's cold this morning. I've seen a few of my mates that are already on their way up to Aberdeen to try and beat the traffic, beat the police checks, and it's cold this morning, isn't it? Anyway, it is game day. It is Aberdeen. We will talk about that in a minute. But if you remember at the beginning of the last week, there was a rumour circulating, and I was asked, "Do you think Brendan Rodgers is in Switzerland handing in his resignation?" And I said no. And then there was pictures came out of our owner playing golf in the other part of the world. And I did say at the time, why would Brendan go to Switzerland? He hates the cold. He hates the cold weather. He's got a holiday home just on a little island off of Valencia, off of Denia, and off of Alicante and Benidorm. And you could fly into either Alicante or you could just fly straight into Palma. Why would he go? And then he was asked, Brendan Rodgers was asked, and he said there was a reports that I'm unhappy, and I flew to Switzerland to hand in my resignation. With a little smile at his face, which I found strange when I was reading it. I was sitting in Finnieston, and he says, these were all the considerations I had when I came back. He said, I wasn't going to come back and be the person that I was before when I first came. He says, I only wanted to be here and I wanted to do the best by Celtic. I wasn't going to be in the place that I was the first time. It's not the same as the first time. He says, sometimes because of how I am, I might look unhappier than I actually am. That's my dad's fault, he says. He says, I look like my dad. He always looked not so happy even when he was. So you can blame him. He says, probably the first time I was here, I was that excited to be here and it was a great time. But there are probably still people that are thinking, how long is he going to be here? And there are fans thinking he's going to walk out the door. And there's still fans that don't trust him. There's still fans that don't think he should be here. And I've said all along, I said, he stood on the steps of Celtic Park and says, for those who don't believe in me, come back at the end of May when we've won the Scottish League. Come back in the end of May and we'll stand on this front doorstep and then we'll talk about it then. And that was his commitment to Celtic fans. And people saying, and do you know, people will say, Celtic fans will go online and say, he left the first time. And until you know I've spoken about many times. I've had the story about the real reason why he left and the background behind it and all this. But it's history. It's all history. He's committed to Celtic. He's committed to being here for the 3 years. I think he will walk at the end of the 3 years, personally. I don't think he'll stay after the 3 years. I think he'll come in, do the job that he said he would do, and then he'll leave for absolutely nothing. And I think that he'll do that just to get one over Peter Lawwell, so that Peter Lawwell can't get the big 11 million, 10 million, 11 million pound compensation that we got the last time for him. But anyway, Brendan Rodgers did say, he says, look, can we trust him? People are saying, I've got to give everything as long as I'm here and possibly, if I can, have success with the team and look forward to going into Europe again. It is brilliant. It's just the negativity all the way through. What I'm doing is my very best to pull people together. I've always said that if there's a major problem here, then it's not what I'd want for the club. When do I leave here? I've always supported Celtic, but now I want to be here and I want to really see the benefits in the short term and the longer term and hopefully take us through this period. I certainly wasn't having crisis talks, he said. He said it wasn't having crisis talks. Celtic have only signed the 2 players in the January transfer window. The manager did say, yes, we could have done a little bit better. We could have been a bit braver. Chris Sutton's been talking about that. And he said, yeah, we could have been braver in the transfer market. And I think that's probably, from what I could take from his interview yesterday, and I said it at the time, I had said it in last night's video, I think that the manager wants a certain type of player and he will not just accept a mediocre or a standard type player that maybe the Celtic recruitment team can think that we can get by with. I think Brendan Rodgers is saying, no, I don't want to bring that player in because, you know, if he's ultimately, Brendan Rodgers said, look, if they're no better than what we have at the team at the minute, if they're no better than a Bernabe, right? We're bringing a left back in. If they're no better than Bernabe and if they're no better than Taylor, you know, what is the use bringing them in? There's no point whatsoever. You could bring in a player and then fucking 3 weeks later, the whole Celtic support are like, he's absolutely useless. He's not caring. He doesn't bother about Celtic. He's only here for the pay. He's only here for the 3 million year, whatever it is, money. Do you know? So I think that the manager does know that a lot of the fans have still got it in for him. And let's just hope that we can muster up some summer transfers and bring in somebody like Odsonne Edouard for 9 million and this summer. Rodgers battled away the notion that Ida was someone who was presented to him at the last minute as a stopgap. Believe me, and he did say that he's known the lad for a long time. When I found out on Monday morning, he said to my agent, obviously the young lad, said, I want to play for Celtic. And he said, that's it. He said, Celtic, come in for me, you go to Celtic. Anyway, we are up in Aberdeen. Aberdeen, after that 1-0 win over Ross County, yes, the last time out, and people booed, and thank God it is the away fans. There is only 1,688, I think, away fans at the game today. Aberdeen have reduced that allocation again, and just watch it on the telly. There'll be many, many, many empty seats at Aberdeen. Once again, if you look to the left-hand side of the Celtic fans, that stand's always got empty seats, and it is unbelievable. It's been like that for years. It's been like that when I used to go to games. Even when I stopped in 2020 and just before COVID stopped us all going to games, Aberdeen were always like that. They're a terrible, terrible run club. Financially, they might be okay, but the supporters-wise, they're just absolute nonsense supporters. They don't turn up for the big games. Anyway, Celtic head into this match, and what would the starting 11 be? What will the starting 11 be for the game? When you look at it, Nico Kuhn could make the bench, or could he start? Adam Ida will make the bench. I'm going to say, right, I just said it last night. I said Adam Ida, I think he will score in the second half. I think he's going to come off and score on his debut. And then that will have Celtic fans something to talk about. And hopefully something positive. Kyogo Furiashi, I'm going to take Kyogo to score, and Adam Ida. I think the both of them will get on the score sheet. And I think Nico Kuhn could be one to watch just to see how good he is. Lewis Palmer missing the penalties in the last game. Well, let's not talk about that. I hope he doesn't get anywhere near the penalties. Aberdeen are managerless, and usually what happens when a team sacks its manager, they have a little rebound and they win the next game. Let's hope that they didn't sack Barry Robson just to try and get the win over Celtic, although I think they're sitting around about 8th in the table. I'm not too sure. But anyway, the lineups. Let's talk about the lineups. Obviously, you're going to have Joe Hart in goal. Celtic did not bring in a goalkeeper. We tried to get rid of Benji Siegrist. There was talks. Benji Siegrist was in talks with the club, and that kind of failed at the last minute. And it's been widely reported that he wants to go to Australia. Why would he want to go to Sturm Graz in the first place is beyond me. He has spoken, well, his missus has spoken publicly, if I can even get that out this morning. Yes, I am not a professional journalist. I'm just a YouTuber, so get it up yet. He has spoken publicly about the fact that he wants to, or she has, about the fact that once he leaves Celtic, he's going to go down to Australia. Anyway, Joe Hart will be in goals. Alistair Johnston will be on the pitch. Rocky has been confirmed that he's going to play beside the one and only Liam Scales, because let's face it, they're the only two defenders that are good enough for that position. It's a bit hard on the Gustav Lagerbielke situation. Alexandro Bernabe, people are saying he was absolutely immense. He has improved as a player. He's not as bad as he was. He's still terrible. He's not good enough for Celtic, but we've tried to back him up. It isn't what we need, but you've got to push with the cock you've got, they say, isn't it? Matt O'Reilly will be in the middle of the park. Callum McGregor will be in the middle of the park, and I think Odin might get some game time also. But then Paulo Bernardo did start against Ross County. He has been quite good over the last many games. Will Paulo Bernardo stay in the team against Aberdeen, or will Odin? I think Paulo Bernardo will be in the team personally. Nicholas Kuhn, will he get a chance? Will the manager change it in the final third? Because I think that's a position he's been talking about, the lack of quality in the final third. And he has been speaking about that a lot this season. Will Nico Kuhn walk straight into the team? Will Leela Bada get dropped? Dyson Maida's obviously still away. Yang's still away. I don't think Yang will get back into the team when he comes back. Dyson Maida, he's got all that pace, but his final ball isn't that great. Let's see what Nico Kuhn can do over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be an interesting time at Celtic. And then, obviously, the little lad, Kyogo, centre forward, he could be forced to wait. Would he be kept on the bench for the one and only? Nah, surely not. Kyogo will start the game. And the little Japanese international has scored 3 goals in his last as many games. Will the Norwich loanee come on in the second half and score a goal up in Aberdeen? I think he will. I think it's going to be 2 or 3-0 today. I think Celtic are going to go for it. Celtic do love an away game. The fans love the away game. There's a little less tension with the fans and the team at away games compared to Celtic Park. And that's just the way it is. It's the way it has been for years. You can go back to the Ronnie Dyler years, and it was the exact same. It was the exact same. And I think that the fans that go to the away games, the lucky ones that get the tickets because of the reduced allocation, will completely and 100% back the team. They might shout sack the board. They might give a little bit of abuse towards Lawwell and co. But they will back the team, and that's one thing. And then you've got Lewis Palmer. I think Lewis Palmer will probably start the fact that Mikey Johnston has left the building. Mikey Johnston obviously went to West Brom. And the other one, Turnbull's left the building also, so he was sold. And I do think that was a good piece of business by Celtic. The fact that we bought him for and you've got to think about it. It's a fantastic piece of business for Celtic. They bought him for just over 3 million, and with less than 6 months to go on his contract. And the manager was asked about the Turnbull situation. He said, look, it was ideal for the club. He was going into the last 6 months of his contract. And getting any money for him, I thought we would get about 300 or 400 grand, to be perfectly honest. I never seen us getting £2 million for David Turnbull. He's a fantastic player. His goals to game time ratio is fantastic, but he's just too slow in the midfield. People were actually saying that he'd probably miss the deadline day because he's that slow getting down there. Anyway, we wish David Turnbull all the best, and he thinks he's going to a big club. Woo! He thinks he's going to a big club down there, but he's going to say that anyway, so the best of luck to him. Lewis Palmer missing those spot kicks. If he goes anywhere near a spot kick again, I'm going to kick the telly or something anyway. Tell me what you think the scores will be this lunchtime kickoff up in Aberdeen. Tell me what you think the scores will be. Tell me what you think the team will be. I will come on and do a live just before the team is announced up in Aberdeen, and then I'll cut that short as I'll head up to the Alberterra CSC. I'm going to head up there again today because they've seemingly got a book up there that they want me to have a look at, and it's huge, and it cost over £1,000. I think it cost £1,967, this book from Celtic. So I need to go and have a look at that. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.